have your mics here and go away for a second, and I'll bring them back up. So don't worry
Okay.
about it. You can't hear yourself.
All right. It's Happy Hour again from Uptown New Orleans. Hello, I'm Grant Morris. Happy Hour is part of the family of shows on the podcast network. It's neworleans.com. When you walk into a bar in New Orleans and you pull up a bar stool, you never know who's going to be sitting on either side of you. What you do know is no matter what they look like, what they're wearing, whether they just got out of a limousine or just got out of jail, they're going to be happy to talk to you. Because that's New Orleans, and this is Happy Hour, a cocktail-fueled 60 minutes of random conversation with folks who have nothing in common. Other than we're all New Orleans in a bar. Today we're at the fabulous Wayfair on Freret Street. And I can tell you something about Wayfair. It is the home of the Frosé, which is spelled F-R-O-S-E with the thing on top of that in the French style. What is that called, Stephanie, that E thing?
Umlaut?
No, that's German.
It's
Umlaut
an
is
accent? Is it not an
accent, is it?
I
Anyway, it's F-R-O...
speak Espanol. I don't know.
You speak Espanol? What would Frosé be in Spanish?
I don't
then?
even.
This is Stephanie Grace, who's what's your title? You're a columnist for the Advocate?
I'm a columnist for the Advocate and now the Times Picayune.
So the Advocate, how do you describe your newspaper? The Advocate,
well,
Times Picayune? Or?
I have decided to tell people I work for the paper because it's
That's
easier
all there
than
is, the paper.
Yes, because there's only
So
one now.
What is it officially called?
It is officially called the New Orleans Advocate line, the Times Picayune.
Line,
Not
as in slash.
Not a
No,
slash, like the straight up and down line.
Straight up and down line?
Yeah.
Like a
That's the
perpendicular
way we're
line?
supposed to type it.
Is there a line on your keyboard?
There is.
There
it
is.
turns
Where
out.
is
I
it?
had to find it.
This is Paul
It depends-
Tournament.
it depends
Paul,
upon
lean
your
in and talk into
keyboard.
the
It
microphone.
does.
I know. It depends upon your keyboard, but it's out there. But yeah, that's got to be certainly one of the longest titles in journalism
Yes.
Now,
history.
Paul, you know something about marketing. You're the CEO of DatDog.
I am.
So
I
you
am.
must know a little bit about marketing. So is that the
a little
stupidest
bit.
name
I
for a
took
brand?
a class once.
Okay.
Yes.
So think back to when you were in school. What school was it?
UNO, actually.
UNO. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that
Marketing 301 with Lisa Palumbo. I still remember.
Lisa Palumbo is my friend on Facebook. Is that what she
yeah.
does?
She's awesome.
She's funny on
I've
Facebook.
heard
But
her
Yeah.
name before.
Yeah,
is she
no,
your
she's
friend on
great.
Facebook as well?
I know, but I've heard her name, so maybe she should
Yeah.
be.
No,
she's a professor of business
marketing.
marketing.
Yes.
Who knew that? I had no idea.
Yeah.
Oh, I have a whole new
great
respect
gal.
for her. She's very
Yeah.
funny
Yeah.
on Facebook.
Yeah, she's a hoot.
Lisa Palumbo's got a great name. That's why I
Yeah.
know.
It
her.
is.
Okay, so you were in her class at UNO.
Yes.
Okay, and given your background now, weren't you the vice president of marketing at Cane's?
I was a senior
Chicken
vice
Fingers?
president of business development at Raising Cane's.
At Raising Cane's, it's
I
called.
started
Okay, so
when
you
we
know.
had about 40 restaurants
Wow.
and left when we had a little over 300.
Jesus
Wow.
Christ. So why did
That's
you
how I
leave
got
at
all
that
this
point?
white hair.
Why did you leave?
I hit my number, actually, to be honest
Well,
with
why
you.
didn't you? Why didn't they? When they buy you
'Cause-
into the company and
No,
make you
no,
a shareholder?
I hit while I was. So I
so
just
did you
cashed
cash out
I
and get a
cashed
huge
out and
amount of
went
money?
home.
Oh, good deal. Okay.
Yeah. And
So-
I actually was supposed to be sailing in the Caribbean right about now,
Oh.
but
Got
I
arrested?
Had, we have a mutual owner, Stephanie and I. John Georges is a
John Georges owns.
I was going to say
he
that.
is a
We
minority owner in DatDog.
Along with
And
his
he also-
brother,
Along with his brother, Constantine.
Yes.
Constantine seems to have disappeared off the face of the earth.
I've been encouraging him to stay in Greece lately.
He's working in Greece on his olive oil
Yes.
empire. Okay.
Yes.
He is a funny guy.
He's a character.
But anyway, he's not coming back in the near future.
No, actually, he's back on Friday.
Oh,
Okay, so that's
So-
good news.
Yeah.
So
well,
he's-
it
is
depends.
he the-
Good news for who?
Is he the majority
He is
shareholder owner?
He is the majority
so
shareholder.
the boss will be back. I see. So that's not so
Right.
good for you because you've been
Oh,
getting
no,
away with a lot
no,
of shit.
we're clear on who's the boss.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So John Georges is Constantine's brother.
Yes, younger
and he
brother.
owns the
he owns the
Times Picayune
Times
slash
Picayune's
Slash.
No.
line.
that's totally
I
wrong.
think it might have another name, Baton or something.
Which one comes first, Advocate or Times Picayune?
No, Times Picayune.
The Times
Stephanie,
Picayune.
get it right.
line.
It was changing until the last minute, and it's also NOLA.com, and of course, it's also Gambit. So
That's also Gambit as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so look, back to the question. So
Okay.
given all this pedigree you have as a business person and a marketing expert and a graduate of Lisa Palumbo's class from UNO,
There you go.
wouldn't you agree that that is the stupidest name for a brand of all time?
As I said, it is going to be go down in history as the longest name for journalism
Now,
tool in history.
remember, I
but
guess it's
yeah,
It doesn't
no.
answer the question, but okay.
Grant, I can't
used-
answer that
there
question.
was a time when it was the Times Picayune states item, so that's
Yeah.
also
That's
long.
stupid as well.
Yeah.
And it eventually the states
But,
item fell
I think
off.
we should rename it the paper. I like that.
That is a good idea.
That is a very good idea.
Yeah. Anyway, back to where I was.
I would like a cut of
the
that.
the
There you
frosé
go.
is a frozen
you should
cocktail.
Go on GoDaddy.com and buy that URL right now.
What,
There you go.
thepaper.com?
Thepaper.com.
You think it's available?
I don't know. We could check it out.
Can we? Sea-Rock isn't here today. We need to look that up.
There you go.
If Sea-Rock was here, we could have bought that by now. We bought one other thing on the air one time. What did we buy? We bought like Fresh Valley Films
Come
or
on,
Can I
Fruit.
sell it to John
Fruit
George's?
Valley
That would be fun.
Yes.
Wouldn't it?
Okay, have a look. Go to GoDaddy.com.
I must have been out
Stephanie.
for that show because I
We're
don't
going to
remember that at all.
GoDaddy.com.
No,
Yeah,
I remember that.
we bought something called Fruit Valley or something. There was a guy who was a filmmaker from California, from who lived in Burbank or
Like
somewhere,
Napa?
on Fruit Valley Road, and he made gay movies for real.
No,
So
I
I'm
was
like,
definitely
why
not
aren't
here
they
for
called
that show.
Fruit Valley Films? So that it might not have been the word Valley. It was
It's
Fruit.
taken.
It's gone. The paper is gone.
Paper.com is gone.
No kidding.
Do we?
Yeah.
Can you find
What
out if
about-
John George's bought it?
What about the papernola.com? Check that out. Anyway, listen, let me
But see,
finish
Grant,
this
now
thing.
you're doing the same thing he did. You're getting out there.
Right. You're going to make me some
We
money.
could,
by
do you
the
know
end
how
of
much
the
money
hour.
we can make on this?
I-
Can we share in the profits from this?
Sure.
This is all going to
well,
be yours.
the
Drink some
paper
Frozen
NOLA.com is available.
Nola,
Ah.
the paper Nola.
Paper Nola.
Yes.
What about the NOLA paper? That has a
Yeah,
better
that's
ring
got
to
a
it.
better ring to it. Thomas is right. The nolapaper.com.
Fuck Thomas.
I
Jesus.
have the
Sounds a-
producer's
That
eye.
first
and
time.
ears.
Sounds a bit like toilet paper. Anyway, listen, let me tell you about the frosé. It's a frozen cocktail made with dry rosé, vodka, Saint Germain, Peychaud's bitters, lemon juice, and a house-made strawberry/basil syrup.
No wonder it tastes so good.
I would like to know where it does taste good, doesn't it? I would like to know where the line is on my keyboard. Let me tell you about today's show. Today's show is brought to us by Nola Pens. Look at this pen, boys. Wow. And Stephanie. It's the only pen. Look, you're a professional writer.
I am.
Feel that.
Ooh.
Write something with that pen. You can write on the tablecloth here at Wayfair. It's the only pen made from a fallen Audubon Park live oak tree. They are one-of-a-kind,
that's sad.
expertly crafted, limited edition writing instruments, and they're available at nolapens.com. Isn't that great? Really,
It is.
seriously.
It's really nice.
What did you write? What was the first word you wrote?
The paper.
Good
Yes.
thinking. And thanks to Basics on Magazine Street, which is near Jefferson Avenue. At Basics underneath, you can find fine lingerie, and at Basics Swim and Gym, you can find a full range of fashion swimsuits, workout, and yoga clothes with style. And the Positive Vibrations Foundation create and encourage community through the development and preservation of the arts, music, culture, and heritage. And if you'd like to join our Patreon family, you go to patreon.com and search for It's New Orleans Happy Hour. And for as little as $1, you can become a member of our Happy Hour family and get all sorts of free exclusive stuff. I haven't introduced you yet to Ben Shooter and Sean Doyle from the Bummers.
Hey.
Good afternoon, the Bummers.
How you doing? What's up?
I'm good. How are you doing?
We're doing pretty good. We got some free drinks.
You got free drinks, and Ben, I've seen Ben because Ben works in the kitchen here as a chef, and also was on the show once before with his own music.
That's
and,
right.
And since then, you've got purple hair.
Yes, yes.
How long ago did you get it?
I got purple hair right before we went on tour. I was like, I need to do it. I'm just gonna go do it because it's gonna look really cool when we're playing all the shows and we're on the road. And we actually just got back from doing the majority of those tour dates.
And did it improve anything in your life at all, the hair color?
The ladies love it.
Is that true, Sean?
Absolutely.
That's what you found?
Yes.
He's a good-looking kid.
Oh, yeah.
You're good looking without the purple hair, but you think the
Yeah.
purple hair adds
It
to
enhances it.
It gets a lot of
Absolutely.
attention.
I was gonna say you get a lot of play, huh?
But we also like got a lot of people. I think when we stopped for gas in places, and there were lots of old people looking at me disapprovingly.
Is that right? What do they think that you're like?
Where'd you tour? Branson, Missouri?
Well, we had to drive all the way up first from the south. We worked our way down from Buffalo, New York.
Oh, really? You
Yeah.
flew to Buffalo or something?
No,
we
we
drove all the way to
drove
Buffalo.
van.
Oh yeah, it was.
Without playing a single gig?
No, it was the biggest test our band's ever gone through. 20,
Wow.
20 straight hours together, and we nailed it. We loved it.
Wow. Were you in a car or a van or what?
We had a van.
Yeah, we got a big van for this
Okay.
one.
Hey, listen, if you tuned into this looking for Andrew Duhon, he's not here, he's on the road. If you're looking for him, he could be in a town near you. He's traveling all over the country. Go to andrewduhon.com and see if Andrew's in a town near you. So why did you go all the way to Buffalo without stopping on the way playing a gig? Who organized the tour?
Well, we actually went first through Montgomery, New York, to record a couple new songs with a friend of ours, John McClario, and that went fantastically. And we went straight to Buffalo from there.
Okay.
And our bassist, who's not with us right now, has been with us for 3 years. He's from Buffalo originally.
He's not with us right now. Did he die or something?
He's not with us right now.
He's not with us in this room. Okay,
Yes.
but he's still
He
with us.
survived the tour. He made
Okay.
it.
He
Yes.
and our drummer and our manager are texting us right now as we
Yeah,
speak.
giving
Okay,
us
that's
notes. Look better, be better.
Say something intelligent.
They
Yeah.
want Sean to take off his hat and show his hair.
I won't
but
do it though.
Why, what's your hair like?
Oh, it's totally normal. It's just wet.
It's wet
Yeah.
from taking a shower or
Yes.
other means? Okay, that's
Not other
that's
means.
perfectly normal. So you have a new record, The Bummers.
Yes.
It's called Dairy Beach.
Uh-huh.
So it's not vegan.
It is not. There's a lot of dairy in there.
I
What's-
mean, there's always the vegan alternative. There's always the nut milk.
The non-dairy nut milk beach. Is Dairy Beach...
Except in Louisiana, you're not allowed to call that milk anymore. You know?
Yeah,
What do you
I heard
mean?
about that. It's not
Yeah.
milk anymore.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know what you call it, but
Because we had the politicians had to protect the dairy producers.
Are you serious? This
Yeah.
is not a joke.
is
No,
it
it's not a
nut? Is
joke.
it nut juice? What is it?
That's so suggestive. That's terrible.
They were concerned
That's
because
the
you
truth.
couldn't discern the difference.
In case you
Right.
bought
Also-
nut milk thinking it was milk made
Right.
by nuts,
Yeah.
not with nuts.
I'm sure somebody in Shreveport was trying to figure out how to milk an almond.
Yeah.
Therefore, we
Okay.
had to come up with
Take that,
some
Shreveport.
legislation.
Okay, come on. How do you guys hear this stuff? Is it in the news? Do you?
Oh, the Louisiana legislature at work.
So
You're
Stephanie-
talking to a reporter, Grant.
Well, that's what I'm just wondering. Because
Yeah.
you're a
It's-
columnist. Does that
yes.
mean you just get to say anything you feel like
Well,
saying, or do you have to actually
and I
report the
should
news?
say about that bill, there are a lot of kinks to be worked out. We don't know exactly how it's going to play out. The labeling.
So it's not the law yet.
It is the law, but it's written. It has not taken effect yet, and it's a little confusing how it will. I get to. I mean, I don't make stuff up. I'm not supposed to do that, and I
Okay.
would not do that. And I try to stick to the truth. I don't take people out of context. I don't misrepresent them. But beyond that, I can kind of.
But you can say whatever you
I
want.
can,
so
yes.
you're paid to write columns, which
Yes.
means that you have free reign
if
to say
somebody gets
stuff.
me mad, I can write about it, and I get paid for that, and I can put it on Twitter, and I watch people retweet it. I watch it go around the world, and that's kind of fun.
And do people hate you?
Some do, yes.
What's that like? I can
well-
tell you what that's like personally, actually. How is it
It's-
like? What's it like for you?
It's interesting. Sometimes the ones that kind of entertain me the most are the ones that they get their talking points. They haven't thought through. They've heard something and they believe it. You know, fake news. That's the current one. There have
Right,
been many
right.
others, and they'll call me and you know, what they heard on Fox News maybe, and they'll throw that at me, and I'll ask them sometimes if they get me on the phone, what do you mean by that? Like, use your own words, and that usually it stops there because they can't.
But you
know.
say something. You'll say something like the governor is a complete moron.
Yes, I don't think this
That
governor
was
is a
better when
complete moron.
Bobby Jindal was the
I-
governor. It was easier to say that, I suppose. But you were allowed to say something like that because that's your opinion. Or,
I can, but that's not how I would say it. I
So
would
how
show
would you-
it. There's, you know, in journalism, there's saying versus showing, and, you know, you can kind of show something moronic that he did, and people will get the takeaway that that was moronic.
but some
Well,
other
you
people
could
might think
characterize him as an individual in which many were disappointed.
in Bobby
Bobby
Jindal
Jindal,
himself.
yes.
Whatever happened to Bobby Jindal? Do we know?
That's a good
Yes.
question.
Where is he today?
He's in Baton Rouge and sometimes LA. He is working for a company that it's a healthcare company that one of the things they do is Medicaid plans. Of course, he was very much against Medicaid when he was
Yeah,
governor,
that's interesting.
but now he's making money off of it. He has a periodic column in the Wall Street Journal, so for people who want to know what he's thinking, that's where they can go.
Okay, well, that's interesting. So you go to Baton Rouge and you cover politics.
Yes.
That's what you do. So you have to know what's going on.
Yes.
You can't just sit at home and read the paper and then write a comment.
I can, you know, there's a lot that's online now, so I can sit in my PJs and watch the legislature in the morning and drink coffee and multitask.
You
and
can.
I can.
So you don't have to go to
So
Baton
I
Rouge
do
and
sometimes.
hobnob with
I
people.
do. I do sometimes, but I also sometimes do it in my kitchen at my kitchen table in my PJs. I will admit.
And is this a well-paid gig? Is this like a coveted job?
You know, it's a coveted job in journalism. It's when you say well-paid. You know, that's not really the journalism world we live in these days. It's a pretty rough industry these days. So, but it's fun.
Yeah. Did they start paying people less and less in the newspaper business?
Oh yeah. So
everyone's income is going down.
Yes.
And has it hit rock bottom?
Oh boy, I hope so. Yes.
It's really interesting what's happening. So I get my journalistic information from a guy who drives a red van around my neighborhood.
Okay. Where does he get it?
He delivers the newspaper.
Oh, thank you. So you subscribe, you pay.
No.
We appreciate that very, very much. You don't pay.
No, I canceled my subscription ages ago.
But you still get the paper for free?
No, but I talked to the guy who delivers it.
Oh, okay.
Because he's been delivering the paper in my neighborhood for years. And he stops and talks to me. And I canceled it. I
can't support that. I'm sorry.
But I canceled it because
I have a mortgage.
I'll tell you why I canceled it, because I read it online. And so the next day I get in the paper, I'm like, I already read this stuff online yesterday.
And I have the same reaction, and that was a tragic mistake that news organizations made at the dawn of the internet era, and it's a big problem. And the thinking was that there would be the revenue model was built so much on advertising. So one of the first things that happened was Craigslist. So remember classified sections?
Sure.
Those of us who are a little older, maybe not you guys. They were big and fat, and if you had a car to sell or you were looking for a pet or something, that you would buy a classified ad.
We still do this.
You do that? You buy?
I don't think you have to pay for the ad anymore.
Well, see, that's the issue.
Yeah.
So that was where my mortgage payments came from.
From classifieds.
So that happened, and advertising, drifted to the internet, and there is some money to be made off of internet advertising. It's much less than in print, and a lot of it is siphoned off by, I don't mean to get too serious here, but Google, Facebook,
right?
Which they don't produce the product; they just kind of get the product, distribute the product, and they get the ad revenue, and we don't. So it's a pretty existential crisis in the business right now.
It sure is. So what happened to paying for online subscriptions? Like I pay to get to read the New York Times. I pay $20 a month for that.
Yes.
So why don't I pay to get the Advocate /line Times Picayune?
If you noticed, you would have started paying.
.com.
We're drifting in that direction. We started actually the same day we won the Pulitzer. We announced a pay model. So in the morning, everybody hated us because we announced that they'd have to pay.
Yeah.
In the afternoon, they loved us because we won a Pulitzer. So, and then a couple weeks later, we bought the Picayune. So it's been a really, it's been quite the ride.
But I noticed that pay thing came up, and then it seems to have gone away again.
We're in this transition now to the new paper. It's going to come back, and it's.
So I'm going to eventually have to pay to read it online.
If you want to read the full paper, if you want to read a lot online, you'll have some individual, and that's what a lot of local papers are doing. What the New York Times, the Washington Post, the LA Times, the Wall Street Journal, what they are able to do is charge a substantial subscription because they have worldwide readership because of what they cover, and they have invested in their staff, so they still provide a really good product. You can't destroy your product.
As opposed to
no, we do.
The Times Picayune.
But some local papers.
Fired everybody.
What has happened? The old Times Picayune. I was there for years, and
they fired you, or did you quit?
It was a complicated. They took my job away and gave me a different job, and then I quit. So, but that was.
What was the new job they gave you?
The new job was
janitorial.
No, it was my old job actually. So I was a City Hall reporter before I became a columnist, and they. Decided they wanted someone with a different political point of view in 2012, so they gave my column to somebody else and asked me to go back and be a City Hall reporter again, which is problematic
City Hall in New Orleans.
Which is great.
That would be the worst place to hang out.
It was a great job. I loved it at the time, but at that point I'd been writing columns for 9 years, which means I told everybody what I think of them. So
and then you have to go down to City Hall and report
and then go back and say never mind. It just would not have worked, and it wasn't appealing to me.
Pretty funny.
So I walked and ended up doing the same job at the Advocate, and then the Times Picayune came to me 7 years later.
How crazy.
So it's
the
been
Times
crazy.
Picayune sort of turned into, it seemed like a farm team for the Advocate. Everybody that the Advocate, that the Times Picayune trained up and made them into good reporters, then they fired them, and they went to the Advocate.
The Pulitzer Prize winning team at the Advocate all came from the Times Picayune, all except one.
I can't understand why the Advocate bought the Times Picayune. Do you ever talk to John Georges? Do you ever talk to John Georges, Paul?
I do, but I don't talk about papers.
You didn't ask him why he bought it?
No.
Why didn't they just wait till it died, which could only be weeks away?
Well, you know why it wouldn't die was because of NOLA.com.
Right.
NOLA.com
It was
was
a very strong brand,
Was
yes.
and that
Which
was
you
sort
think
of the.
would be good enough to save it because everyone's going online. So
Right.
why didn't that save the Times Picayune?
Because there's very little money in online. So,
Is there really?
and there's
There's
no.
probably a lot of factors that come
There's
into
a
play,
lot.
Grant.
Look at this fly.
And yeah, I would say, obviously NOLA.com was the moneymaker. I would say Times Picayune was the money spender. And so
Right.
consolidation made sense. And it'll be interesting to see what happens as a
Right.
result of that.
And there are no markets, certainly not this size, and certainly not with this level of, kind of economic, not very well off markets that have two papers anymore. So it
Right.
was never going to happen that
But
this was
the
permanent.
Times Picayune was
One
going
was going to blink.
Was going to
and
die.
they blinked.
Right.
I don't know
Anyway.
that it was
And
not
John
necessarily
was
going to
initially
die.
interested in the
Was?
Times Picayune.
He did. He tried
that
to-
was his first.
It was.
He went after that first.
Who did?
John.
John
John
Georges.
Georges.
Went after
Oh,
Times
okay.
Picayune
In
first.
2012, when the Picayune
And
announced it was
settled
cutting a
for
lot
the
of...
Advocate.
Yeah.
And then
moved-
never gave up his
and moved
passion
it into New Orleans, created this big New Orleans office staffed by former Times Picayune employees. And we've been kind of fighting it out ever since. Now, until recently, the Times Picayune had this very wealthy family behind it, the Newhouses. So
Now we have the Georgeses.
and yes, which is a local family.
Also wealthy.
But it was an out-of-town family that didn't want to give up. So
They kept on putting money into it,
Yes.
hoping that it was going to work out.
Yes.
Okay, so back to my newspaper delivery guy.
Okay.
He tells me, as of today or yesterday, whenever I talked to him last, that even though now he works for the Advocate and the Times Picayune, he's not delivering any more papers. It's the same number of papers.
So he has a different route. We have more deliverers.
His prediction is the whole thing's going to go under and there won't be any newspaper.
Well,
Everyone's going to be reading it online.
I keep trying to get him to stop delivering the paper. We actually don't
The
pay
free
for
one.
it, but we get it.
That's how it works for me. Too.
And it
I don't
and
think
it
we've
ends
ever
up
paid
You
for
get
like
it every day?
I get
litter.
it every day.
Yeah.
But
and
you
I've
don't
never
pay
paid
for
for
it.
it. Yeah.
How
Yeah.
long has it been going on for?
a few years.
That's what happened to me. That's
Yeah.
how I know this newspaper
And so
delivery
it's,
guy.
I mean, I just the hassle is I got to go out and pick it up and throw it in the trash.
Which paper
Otherwise,
were
it
you
ends up
getting
in the catch basin.
Okay.
And then
Right.
we have flooding.
Well, this is what I tell you what happened to me. This guy delivered my newspaper every day for years, and I assumed that they gave it to me for free because they just want to get the subscription numbers up, and they don't care if it's free because they want to say that 25,000 people or 125,000 people read it. So one day he says to me, this guy, "Hey, you're not paying for the paper. You haven't paid in like 3 years." I'm like, "I know." And he said, "Well, that's not right." I said, "Well, why do you keep giving it to me?" He said, "Well, I thought you were paying for it." He said, "You owe me $380 or $830 or whatever it is." I'm like,
Did you pay the man?
"No," I said, "I'm not paying for it. I don't want the paper." Anyway, so I settled on, and he said, anyway, how it works is they give him the paper.
Yeah.
And he buys the paper off the Times Picayune line, NOLA Advocate, or whatever it's called. And then he has to pay them 25 cents for a paper, and he gets 50 cents for it. So he's losing 25 cents every time he throws you
that's
and
been the business
Sean
model
you the
since
paper.
the 60s.
So you're costing this guy money, but
No, when I delivered papers, you would buy them
Yeah.
from.
so you
the
were a
local
paper
guy.
delivery boy?
I was.
Where was that?
That was actually in Blacksburg, Virginia.
Okay.
Yeah, as a young lad.
And is it true according to
Home
your...
of the fighting
Hokies.
Hokies,
There
right?
you go.
Hey,
yes.
Thomas,
there
good
we
job.
go.
Wow.
Hey, before
Virginia Tech.
I want to get on to Pittsburgh because it says here in my bio that you lived on the streets in Pittsburgh.
I had an
As a
interesting
homeless
childhood.
person. Is that true?
To say the least. Yes, it was. And whenever my wife complains about it being cold in the house, I said, spend a winter in the bathroom of an Exxon station, and then you can tell me about it being cold inside.
Any season would be bad in the bathroom of an Exxon station, I would think. Spring
Yeah,
would be
so
pretty.
it was, well, I mean, listen, I had an interesting childhood. My parents passed away when I was young. I always say I was raised by wolves. And, my escape was to literally just pick up and leave and meandered around Maryland, Virginia, and Pennsylvania for a while.
So hang on, go back for one sec. Both your parents died. How old were you?
So let's see, my father died when I was in 6th grade, and my mother committed suicide in the living room when I was in 7th grade.
In the living room.
Yeah.
Were you at home at the time?
No, I was not.
How did she pull that off?
How did she pull
Did
it
she
off?
shoot herself?
Yes, she did, actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so how old were you?
So let's see, I was probably about 13. You know?
Wow. So your dad
And,
had died a few years before.
The year before. My mother died the year later.
So she was depressed from as an aftermath
you know, my
of
mother
your...
was a tortured soul, is the best way I can put it. I mean, she clearly loved me very much, but you know, I think chased a lot of demons. You know, but so, you know, Grant, I mean, the short story is it was an interesting childhood. Faced a lot of adversity.
So nobody took care of you after this tragedy? You
I
just walked out of the house?
lived with my stepmother, who was a rather brutal woman. I don't actually mind naming her on the show, Janice Martin, who lives in Christiansburg, Virginia. And
Okay, we can Facebook her right now.
She's on Facebook. Yeah, no,
Okay.
Janice used to beat me. And one of my sort of most memorable moments in my life was Janice beating me until I passed out. And then when I came to, she would beat me for passing out. And I then explained to her that if she continued to do that, I would pass out again. And I had to have been probably, I want to say probably a sophomore or junior in high school when that happened. And
You're a big guy. Right now you're like 6 something.
I wasn't then.
You weren't the big
Yeah.
guy.
No, I was.
Did you think of hitting it back at that point?
You know what? I'm a pretty tenacious motherfucker, and I actually would sit on my hands to not. And basically,
Wow.
without daring her, you know, just, you know, stare her down and, you know, like, beat me as hard as you want. It's okay. I'm not going to fight back. And I don't know why I reacted in that fashion.
Have you been in therapy?
Oh, shit tons.
And what do they? How do they explain
Well,
that?
so here's the thing. I mean, you know, for me, it was about, listen, everybody gets cards dealt in life. And it really is how you play them. Okay? And, you know, there are two things. Is one, you know, somebody once asked me if I could ever do it over again, would I make it different? And I would say no. Because I am the individual who I am today because of that.
You don't think you'd be principally the same if, what's her name? Was it Jen?
I don't.
Didn't beat the shit out
You
of you?
know, I mean, who knows? But I'm very okay with who I am today.
Right.
So I wouldn't want to change that.
You think if you went back, any little thing in your life that you change, any little tiny detail of your life would alter the sum total of where you are today? Including being beaten to almost death as a child?
I can't really say that, honestly, Grant, that I would want to go and do that. And I think, you know, because you get to a point, you know, I'm at 58, and it's sort of like, you get to a point, you like kind of look back, and it's like, okay, you know, first of all, as I say, I'm in my lanyap years, never expect to live this long.
How long do you think you're going to live for?
I was shooting for the 40s.
40?
Yeah, like
so you're
mid-40s.
way over. Okay.
I'm way over. Yeah, I'm like way the fuck over. And, you know, I had somebody recently, an actuary, you know, they were like, oh, you're probably going to live to be 92. And I was like, shit.
Someone predicted that you can find out the actual
Yeah,
insurance
well, you go
actuary.
to yeah, exactly. Insurance
Like a health insurance
people, investment advisors, and they're like, all right, you might want to plan to live to
What
92.
do they look at your medical records, or how do
All
they?
kinds of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, and so you kind of figure it out, and you're like, all right, so what are you going to do? So I got a good another 34 years in me.
Wow.
And so I'm looking forward to those.
Better keep drinking.
I know. I was
You need another
trying
drink.
to get a Stella over here.
Okay. We can hook you up with that.
But yeah, so you know, but then along the way, I met some really incredible human beings in my life, and the impact that, you know, I'll start with. Poor Mr. Surface was my shop teacher when I was in high school.
Mr. Surface.
Mr. Surface. He's no longer alive because I've tried to go back and find him and thank him. But Mr. Surface did two things. One is he didn't crucify me, and two, he taught me how to shake a hand.
Mr.
And,
Surface.
you know, I mean, I was in shop and thought one day it would be really awesome to try and arc weld a 12 gauge shell until it went off. And, you know, he was a little upset with that.
Did you have it on a vise?
Yeah, I did, but the
You
slug
put 12
still.
gauge shell on the vise and
then-
put an arc welder on the end of it.
Yeah.
What did you think was? How old were you at this point?
It's probably, what are you, like 16?
Okay, and how do you get a shotgun shell into shop class? You just had that in your pocket?
Shit, it was the 70s. I mean, come on.
You had that in your pocket, though?
Yeah. I mean, I don't really know how we came across this, but
Wow.
yeah. So there's
And it
Mr.
didn't hit-
Surface.
So you were like the Dick Cheney of shop.
And then I went and joined the military, which was pretty productive.
That sounds like it was a good idea.
Yeah, it was a good idea, and it was.
What
but
branch were you in?
I was in the Navy, and in late 1984, I was getting ready to do my 4th deployment overseas. And when you're in a unit, you rotate out as other people go back to shore. They come back, and all these people were rotating out, coming back, rotating out, coming back, and I was still there. And so somebody was like, dude, like, why are you still here? And I'm like, I don't know, but I'm not fucking going overseas one more time. So I called Washington, and Washington was like, well, yeah, why are you still there? I'm like, well, because I haven't gotten any orders. And so they said to me, they're like, well, you don't have enough time in your enlistment left to go back to stateside, so you're going to have to stay. And I was like, extend my enlistment. So they extended my enlistment, which is why I did 6 years, 6 months, and 6 days in the United States Navy. And when I got back to shore, not only did I have long hair, but I had a very bad attitude. And
Now, where were you this whole time?
so I was over, at that point I was in Mombasa, Africa.
Mombasa.
Africa.
What do you do all day in the Navy when you're in Mombasa, Africa?
You know,
Not really.
Nothing beneficial.
Nothing.
Nothing beneficial. So I come back stateside, I'm walking around on base, and then I meet another individual, positive influence in my life. Commander John G. Neeb comes from a long lineage of naval officers, and he walks up to me and he's like, hey, sailor, what's up with your hair? And my immediate response is, what the fuck's it to you? And so I actually have this letter that John wrote me decades later about this incident where he said I could have squashed you like a bug. For some reason, he took me to get a haircut. So John takes me to get a haircut. About 45 days later, I'm in a meeting. We kind of debate whether it's 30, 45, 60 days later, but I'm in a meeting with Roberta Hazard, who is the first ever female rear admiral in the Navy. The most impressive woman I've ever met in the
These
service.
people have got great names. Mr. Surface, Admiral
And,
Hazard. Yeah, it's
So
the whole thing.
I'm in this meeting, and she asks for some feedback, and I give her some feedback, and we'll just say I didn't frame it correctly. And her response to me was, so sailor, who is actually responsible for you? And I said, well, that gentleman in the front row. And so the meeting concludes, and John sends somebody to come find me, and John is pissed. And he's like, you know, like, what are you doing? He's like, you jumped the chain of command. I said, well, actually, I didn't. I said, I asked my master chief. He said it was none of my business. So I asked my lieutenant. He said it was none of my business. So I figured I'd ask the admiral. And his final said, well, if you think you can do better, do it yourself. And I was like, okay. And 2 years later, I left the Navy. This was during and you will remember this was during the Ronald Reagan era where we were spending thousands of dollars for hammers and all of this stuff. And I had put together John and I had worked on a procurement management program, saved the government a shit ton of money. I got a presidential accommodation, a Naval Achievement Medal, all kinds of good stuff. And then I picked up my toys and left.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's how you got out of the Navy.
That's how I got out of the Navy. And I came right back to where I started, was the restaurant business, which is kind of what I've known my entire life.
This is a good story. Listen, hang on.
So-
It's a great
Wait
story.
up, everybody. We're going to take a very, very quick break, and we're going to come back and hear some music from the Bummers.
There we go.
You guys get those guitars out. We're going to come back and listen to a song from Dairy Beach. We'll be right back after this. And we're back on Happy Hour with Paul Tournament, Stephanie Grace, Sean Doyle, and Ben Shooter from the Bummers. And the Bummers are going to play us a song. Are you going to play us a song off the new album?
Yes.
Okay, the new album is called Dairy Beach, and this song is called what?
What are we doing?
This song is called Fountain Blue Storage 2. It's the second track off Dairy Beach. And this one we mainly wrote, our drummer Fox Capone wrote a lot of this in the beginning, a lot of the music for it. And then he was like, you guys should come up with the lyrics for it, and it should be about like it should be about like a ghost ship and space and stuff like that. So I just
Okay.
ran with that.
So you're both doing vocals on this, right?
Yeah, he's going to be mostly singing.
Okay,
I'll
so
help
we-
him out. Thank you.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4. Help never arrived. There was no one left to save. Left floating deeper into space. No one survived. Only decaying halls remain. The system crashed halfway through, uploading their brains. The engines are all failing. I don't think we're gonna make it home after all. The engines are all failing. Will you hold my hand as the oxygen runs out? It's getting harder to breathe.
I'm falling right back to sleep.
It's time to enter the freeze.
At least we'll all soon be free.
I can't get into the sleep.
I never wanted to be.
The law forget about me.
I run my hands through the trees.
It's getting harder to breathe.
I run my hands through the leaves.
It's time to enter the freeze.
Don't even know what I believe.
I can't get into the sleep.
I never wanted to be.
The law forget about me. Metal framework reverberates with final intentions and memories, still intact but trapped within the obsolete technologies. Play the bag to immerse yourself in an overwhelming sadness. There was so much pain. The engines are all failing. I don't think we're gonna make it home after all. The engines are all failing. Will you hold my hand as the oxygen runs out?
All right. So that's a song about like a failed space mission where
Yeah.
everyone's going to die.
Absolutely. You nailed it.
And it's called Fontainebleau Storage Unit?
Yes. Are you familiar with Fontainebleau Storage?
Yeah. It's,
Yes.
so it's like owned by the Tipitinas Foundation or something.
I believe it is. It's also where
It's a rehearsal.
maybe yes, exactly.
Right.
It's where many New Orleans musicians rehearse and have studios, and we've been there for about a year, maybe a little more.
Yeah.
And it's notorious for how disgusting it is.
Okay.
So we wrote a song about dying inside of it.
Dying inside the Fontainebleau Storage
Yes.
Unit.
as a spaceship, though.
So you have a rehearsal space there.
Yes, we have a nice studio that we split with 2 other bands. One's called Elephants Gerald. Our drummer Fox.
Elephant?
Elephants Gerald,
Elephants?
not Elephants
Not
Gerald.
Elephants Gerald. Elephants.
We share a room with
Gerald.
Elephants Gerald. It's
Okay.
great. And then
Is it Tulane and Carrollton?
yes,
Is
is
that,
on
okay.
Tulane Ave.
It used to be motels or something.
Yeah.
There's still some apartments there, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
People live
The
in it?
practice-based rooms inside of it have the little nook that was like the bathroom or something. The first room that we had in there had like a bathtub in it that was just it had like a plank of wood over it.
Wow.
And we were like, we should store like something in here, just a little hiding place. I don't think we ever did though.
So there are actually still people living in that building on Tulane Avenue and
I don't think they're in the building. It's like a whole complex.
Well, there's like-
so there's an
yeah.
apartment complex, I think, attached to it. There's a
Okay.
storage area, there's a studio area, and then there's a living area. As far
okay.
as I know.
So can we steal this music of yours off of Spotify and everything?
Oh,
Yes.
absolutely. We
So
are
it's all over the place?
All over the
all
place.
Okay.
over. I don't think anything you can name, we're probably on it.
Please
Okay.
go on
Yes.
Spotify.
Spotify
Oh,
is,
look at it.
is
Yeah.
our...
I'm very impressed with the stuff. It's hard, a little bit hard to tell from that song, but some of the stuff that I've heard of yours, especially some of the songs on this new record, Dairy Beach, I know this is going to sound terrible, it sounds sort of like John Lennon and Paul McCartney.
That doesn't sound terrible to me.
Like, what's terrible about that?
It's really interesting how great you guys can sing together, how your harmonies. You sound just like, has anyone ever mentioned that to you?
Not that, no.
That's a great thing to hear.
That is a
actually,
great
yeah.
thing to hear. People do tell us that our voices sound really good together, and we've been playing together for almost 5 years now. So after a while, we were at Tulane. It was the first day of songwriting class, I think.
That's right.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
And we were the only 2 people who were 30 minutes early. So I kind of walked right up to him and was like, "You play guitar, don't you?" He had like this leather jacket on with like a "fuck authority" pin. You know, just you could tell from a mile away that this kid ripped the guitar. So we just started up a conversation and we're like, "Let's play some music together."
That's awesome.
And the other guys in the band too. We had our bass player Clay was the first person at Tulane I met, like at the streetcar with his mom and my mom.
Before even
And
getting there,
I still have Clay's very first like little record that he gave me at that moment. From his high school band.
Wow. So the Bummers was meant to be. So where did you guys come from? Where did you move from, Ben?
I am originally from Little Falls, New Jersey.
New Jersey and
I'm
Sean-
from Media, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Yeah. Just
And
outside
where's
Philadelphia.
And where's the other guy from? What's his name?
Clay is from
East Aurora,
East Aurora, New York, and our drummer Fox is from Nashville.
What's it? And everyone's still here, obviously.
Oh yeah,
Everyone's
we all
still
live in
here.
New Orleans.
And did you learn how to write a song? This
In songwriting class? I think we more learned how not to write a song.
Really?
I think that was the better takeaway.
What department is that? I didn't know that was an academic.
It's one of the they do like a freshman requirement
Right.
elective,
Okay.
and it was one of those.
Okay.
So it was the first class we took.
Okay.
So, do you know Stephanie, what it costs to go to Tulane?
A lot?
Is it like $60,000 a year?
It's an
You
arm and a
didn't
leg.
really pay
Yeah.
$60,000 a year to learn how to write songs.
No, I had a pretty good scholarship, but I had 2 majors. I didn't major in music, so
I see it's something to
What'd
fall
you
back
major
on.
in?
yes, I majored in communications and
Okay.
music.
Oh, that's another.
And how about you?
Thanks.
So did I.
I was a music major. I tried to double major with communications and it just didn't work out. But I had the studio art minor. That's what I
Okay.
ended up with as well.
But all these things are low-income type jobs, aren't they? Unless you got really famous as a songwriter,
Yeah.
of course.
Well, there's ways to I mean, songwriting, certainly.
But how can you
low-paying.
justify spending $60,000 a year to
what
get it?
if Lennon and McCartney, I think, did okay?
They've done pretty good.
So if that's
Well,
the
one of
law-
them's dead, so I don't know how
okay,
good he
there
did,
is
really.
that.
But
Okay.
did get shot.
I think that the music part was definitely a sideshow for me, at least in college, because I definitely wanted to learn music in college, but I couldn't justify spending that much money to go
I
study
would think
only
so too.
music.
What did you think you could end up doing? Working in it?
I was looking into marketing. I came in marketing, and the business school kicked the shit out of me.
So what do you do now? You're in a band. You're a musician. Do you do
We
anything
all
else?
work in restaurants.
Right.
We're service
So
industry.
Ben works here.
Yeah.
At Wayfair.
I
Where
don't
you
work anywhere right now. I was working at Jack Rose in the Pontchartrain Hotel.
Oh yeah.
But the last couple months, I've just been kind of doing odd sound jobs because I'm trying to work in sound, but it's not too easy to find a steady
Thomas will hook
gig.
you up.
in that.
Welcome to your communications manager.
Yeah, that's what I learned the hard
Right.
way.
Well, Paul, tell us about what it's like working at Dat Dog.
It's actually awesome. So
What do you have to do all day?
I get to hang out. First of all, I'm very fortunate as I get to work with really great people and really good food. And those, I always say,
Really good food. It's hot dogs.
Yeah, but
How good is that, really?
Grant, have you never
think
been to
they're
Dat
good.
Yeah,
Dog?
I've been to Dat Dog.
Yeah.
I mean, is it that good that you can eat them
I think
every
they're that
day?
good, and not just because
Well,
my boss owns.
Grant,
Yeah, you have
Grant,
to-
don't
Yes.
eat them every day.
Don't eat them every day.
Don't eat them every day.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Okay. But I think if you come about one time a week, I'll be okay.
Okay, once a week.
Once
so
a
how
week.
often are you eating hot dogs?
It ebbs and flows. So when we do R&D, I eat a shit ton of hot dogs.
Okay,
So when we do research and development, I'll probably have 6 or 7 in a day. As we're starting
but that's
to develop
research.
Right.
So you're not eating an entire hot dog, are
And
you? You're
you're-
eating like
No,
a bite
but-
of
And your
the...
actuary told you that you're going to live to 92.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Good-
so
Well,
good
this
point.
was this
good.
was in between. This is when I was supposed to be sailing for a living.
This
so
is
this
after
was
the fried chicken and before the hot dogs.
before the hot dogs.
Okay.
Exactly.
You detoxed. Okay.
But I'm very fortunate in that we have just great employees, and I think the
So you
brand
haven't answered
has.
the question, though. What do you do?
Well, I'm supposed to be the CEO, so I do run the company.
Okay.
I spend an
What does
inordinate amount of
that-
time
yeah.
on really 3 things: finance, marketing, and research and development.
For real?
For real.
So you're in charge of research and development at a hot dog company.
Yeah, but I have a bunch of 16-year-olds that help me out. And
So what have you discovered? What R&D is? What is the sort of cutting edge of the hot
we
dog
did
biz?
have. I had a young man clearly smoked a lot of weed. Came up with a suggestion, called it the beignet, in which you would take a hot dog bun, squash it, throw it in the fryer, pull it out, toss it in powdered sugar. And it wasn't that
Dang.
great. Sounds
I was
good.
so excited.
I know.
Had a
Doesn't
good
it sound
build-up.
good?
Yeah, it's
I was
got
gonna
good
shout out
potential.
this-
I was
No,
like,
that-
when he told me this, I was like, fuck, that's going to be incredible.
I thought you were going to deep
And then
fry
it
the
wasn't.
whole hot dog.
But so in September we're coming out, and this is sort of when everybody was like, whoa. So I went and got a sticky bun. You know, like the shitty sticky buns that you get at the gas station.
Yeah.
I got a bunch of those sticky buns, put them on the char broiler. Charbroil the sticky bun, and then put a scoop of Creole Creamery vanilla ice cream on top of it. And one kid came up to me and he was like, "Boss, you smoked a lot of weed as a kid, didn't you?" I was like, "I cannot answer that question, but this is going to be incredible," and it is. You can't grill it; you have to charboil it because you got to get some of that burnt crystallized sugar on it.
And
But
this is
it's
going to be
amazing.
available at Dat Dog?
Yes, in the fall.
I will
So you
be
invented
there.
this.
Don't
See,
worry.
but this
What's
see,
it called?
That's
Okay, now
great.
that's what I call a
That's
job.
what I do.
Okay.
Okay.
Did you guys come up with a clever name for that? I want to know.
No, but Tom, we will take. Feel free to
So
phone in with some suggestions.
It's sticky because of the cinnamon, right? It's a cinnamon.
It's a cinnamon
drizzle
bun, but
type.
it has to be a shitty
the
cinnamon
sugar
bun.
that makes
You have to
Okay,
go-
it can't be a good. It can't be like a good one because I've already tried that.
The
And
good
see,
one
this
will
is
just
the thing.
fall apart
See,
on
this is
the
what you have to do:
grill.
is you have to get bad ones, you have to grill them, you have to charboil them, you have to get good ones, you have to grill them, and you have to charboil them, and so you're eating a lot of sticky buns with ice cream, trying to figure out
This is-
what's the magic formula.
Right.
And so now we have it.
So it's got to be a sort of a stale type.
Right.
Yeah, just kind of,
Or
like
just
that old school
preservatives.
little,
But
yes.
so it's a
Points,
bad sticky bun, but good ice cream is what you're saying.
Very good ice
Okay.
cream. Yes. And charboil it, don't grill grill it. And
Okay.
Does that
it will
improve the
change it.
quality, the charbroiling? Or is it still a shitty,
It's just,
sticky bun?
you know what? It's like life. Everything contributes to the final experience.
Cool.
So
But you wouldn't go back and change anything. So,
I would not. I would not.
so the experiment.
But I have.
There's no such thing
Grant,
as
I
a
have
failed
34
experiment.
years left, and so I can finish this puppy out exactly how I want
Right.
to.
Eat as many hot dogs as you want.
Do you think that 34 years could change to given the circumstances? Like if you kept eating these,
listen,
it's not a given. God didn't suggest that. It
tell
was
my
some
wife,
guy in a company.
I tell my wife this. It's like, listen, if I go, don't ever mourn. I've got my money's worth. So I feel like I've lived I've been very fortunate. I've lived a really good life.
So you'd be happy to die today, right now.
Well, let's slow down a little bit,
yeah,
Grant.
I mean,
Come on,
Jesus.
find a
Fuck,
middle ground
Grant. I
somewhere
mean,
between
we
30
Is that what you're saying? You wouldn't care. You wouldn't
Right
care if you
now.
died right after
I-
this beer, not till you finish this.
Here,
We
eat
should
this
celebrate
cyanide
my life.
capsule.
In fact, my
Happy is
wife
maybe
has
a
already
mistake.
started planning out sort of the run of show for my
For your funeral.
My funeral. Yes.
Does she have do you have a big life insurance policy?
No.
I'm sure she's not going to do anything, but
No. Oh no, I'm not worried about that.
So your wife is not trying to kill you?
she's not trying to kill you,
No.
but she does have the funeral planned out.
Yeah, but we've been helping her out along the way. So we have this
Okay.
list of.
Do you have her funeral
So
planned out?
here's the problem, Grant, with having grown up in the hospitality in the restaurant industry, is when you go somewhere and you have a bad experience, you realize how easy it is to deliver a good experience. And so
Okay.
we have a running list of places around the country that are quote unquote dead to me. And so if you know me, if you get to know me, you realize that once you're dead to me, you're dead to me. Like there's no coming back.
Okay.
And so she's going to read a list of things that are dead to me, and then
At your funeral.
yes.
Do you
And-
want to tease some of them right
Yeah,
now?
who-
well, I cannot do that. And then she's going to have people come up and tell stories about me, because I tend to be, I'm a pretty, I'm a somewhat eccentric individual. I
But
mean,
hang-
a really
hang
good
on,
story
yes, okay.
we had, in 2008, we moved Raising Cane's to Dallas. So we moved the office to Dallas.
How can you lived a long time eating Raising Cane's and debt dog?
I'm waiting. I'm supposed to have a meeting with somebody, and so I'm pretty fastidious. Like, send me an agenda 72 hours in advance. I'll show up. I'll read it. I'll make sure I'm prepared. I'll show up early. We'll sit down. Well, this individual was late. 45 minutes after the meeting was supposed to start, he walked by the conference room and realized that he had missed the meeting.
Forgotten. Okay.
And for 45 minutes, I sat in that conference room. Now, this gentleman's a really good friend. I just came back from sailing through the Caribbean with him a couple weeks ago. But there are stories of that nature that are somewhat humorous.
That wasn't that humorous.
I know. Well,
That
I'm
was
not good
okay.
at Jamie
I was
will-
waiting for a punchline. What is the
Jamie will
punchline?
do a
I
better
thought you-
job of telling this at my funeral,
Okay.
Grant,
So
and,
we're just-
we'll
Okay.
make sure you get an agenda,
We're just getting
invitation.
We're just getting the
72
funeral
hours
story
advance.
spoilers right now.
But this is what I wanted to ask you though. What happens if you're assuming that your wife is going to outlive you? Is she a lot younger than you or something?
Well, she did text me to remind. She is younger than me.
Okay.
Yes.
So she's going to be still going.
Well, she's supposed to live till 93, so she'll probably come out about 6 years. She'll probably die 6 years after me.
She's got 6 years to go without you.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Stephanie,
Where's
how
this
long?
number coming from? This 93.
I don't really
How do I
know.
figure that out?
I don't.
Wait, who was the name of the actuary who figured that out? We could call that guy.
God, what was his? Ransom Adams was his name.
Another great
Ransom
name.
Adams.
Yes,
Ransom Adams, Mr. Surface.
He lives
and
in
Admiral.
San Antonio, Texas,
Okay.
and yes,
And he'll tell me the exact date and
I
location
gave
got.
him all kinds of
That
information,
sounds like a
and
TV
he came
show.
back
You
and
know
said,
exactly
"You're
when
going to
they're
live to 92, and she's going to live to 93."
What is the name of the Admiral again?
Roberta Hazard.
Hazard. Admiral Hazard. Okay,
Yeah.
so we've got Mr. Surface, Ransom Adams, and Admiral Hazard. It sounds like a game of Clue
I got
almost.
nothing like
Sounds like a superhero team to me.
Yeah, right.
Well,
It's
then,
like-
and
or
great, you got
breakfast
John
cereals.
Neeb
Yeah.
as well.
Right.
So John
Constantine
John-
Georges, that's another great name.
Constantine Georges is a great name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We could add that to it.
John,
yeah.
a little more vanilla.
Okay, so are we going to have you got one more like short song that
John,
we
she
could
said
do?
that.
do-
I did not.
I
we
did
can do a
not.
short
It's a
one.
great name.
Let's have the Bummers do like a short song before we have to get kicked. They kick us out of here so they can make room
Really?
for paying customers at some point. So
Well, there's still open tables.
I know, but we do have to go. So
Okay.
not right yet though. We got time for another song and a few more minutes after that
All right.
to wrap up. This is our producer Graham DePonte over here doing something. What is she up to?
Business meeting, it looks like.
Looks like some sort of actuarial type situation.
Try
Okay,
to
guys,
determine
what's this
how long
song?
You're gonna live.
This song is called Morris. It's named for Morris Bart.
Has this got any of the Lennon and McCartney harmonies?
We're huge Morris Bart fans.
Okay.
We
One
actually
call,
saw him
that's
at the
all.
Rolling Stones concert the other night.
Oh, I was
and we
there.
all, were you there?
Yeah.
It was incredible.
It was.
Did you see Morris Bart there,
I
Stephanie?
did not.
Did you see
Where
the
was
Bummers?
he?
He just passed by us in the hallway, and we were like, "Hey!"
Yeah. we were pretty excited to see Morris Bart in person.
That is exciting. Okay,
Yeah.
so this is a song about Morris.
It's not about him. It's named for him.
It's called
It's in
Morris.
his honor.
Okay.
Yes.
Terrified of wealth and fame, wrote a play about my stupid brain. Cast all sucks, characters are all made up. And in my sleep I find, when I find sleep, we're all tied up. There is no me, this life just sucks. You can never do whatever you want. I don't mind the stairs. I breathe and I exhale. And I can't say that I found myself feeling like 100% since you left last week. Find myself always looking at the time. Computer's the last thing that I need. Family's cold like 6 or 7 times. Phone's not broken, but it's out of reach. My friends all call me Pete. I don't mind the stairs. I breathe and I exhale.
Nice guy. Morris Bart. Oh, it's called Morris.
It's called
that song.
Morris. Yeah,
And
that's
that-
off our first album.
I was going to say that is not on Dairy
No,
Beach.
that's an older one, actually. Yeah.
What was the name of the other record?
It was called A Very Exciting Life.
A Very Exciting Life from the
Yeah.
Bummers. Hey, Bummers, that's pretty interesting. And has Morris heard that song?
We think he has. Maybe. Our manager met him once and totally lobbied for us. Like, we have a song written about you. We should do a video together and all this stuff.
Good
And,
idea. So who's your manager?
her name is Michelle Friedstadt, and
Okay.
she's phenomenal.
So you guys have management and
That's right.
Yeah.
There you go.
You have endorsements.
We
and
have an
everything.
intern too.
You have an intern?
Crazy. We got an intern recently. Yeah.
So
This is
where do you
impressive.
play? Where might one see you locally?
You want to say that?
Yeah, well, we're going to be playing at Gasa Gasa on the 29th
Okay.
Of what month are we talking about here?
of this month,
Of
July
July
29th.
2019.
We're also
That's right.
We're also doing WGNO on News with a Twist on July 23rd.
Oh, that's cool.
And we'll be in Lafayette tomorrow, actually, which is another tour stop for us
Where are
Okay.
you playing in Lafayette?
at the
Freetown Boom Boom Room.
Okay. You should play at the platform there.
The platform.
Platform.
Yeah.
Hey, that's part of Dat Dog, right?
Part of Dat Dog.
Oh, I've heard of that
yeah,
actually.
201 Jefferson Street.
Nice.
There you go.
We
It's
will
a
look into
beautiful
that.
venue.
How's it going in Lafayette, Dat Dog? Is it working? Not really.
No,
No dear. Really?
not yet. You know,
What's
people
up
in
with those-
Lafayette are a little different. They love their suburbs. They love their chains.
Yeah, that downtown is a sort of strange thing, but they
And,
just
yeah.
opened right across from you. They just opened the bowling alley.
Yeah,
Rock
I
and
don't
Ball.
think they're doing that well either.
You and Rock and Ball should get together.
Yeah,
Both New
yeah.
Orleans
I think,
imports.
that's a tough area. I was talking to an attorney the other day. He said, 30 years ago I was doing an internship downtown, and 30 years ago we were talking about downtown coming back.
They've been talking about revitalizing downtown Lafayette since like 1983 or something. For real.
and they
That's
talk
for
about,
real.
when oil gets,
Right.
I don't know. I don't think it's ever coming back. Yeah, we'll
too
call
bad.
that a failed experiment.
So you're going to close it down?
No, I can't speak to that, but
Can't
we would
say that.
love to have these
The
young...
Bummers. Have the Bummers.
would love to play.
Bummers
Play
might
the-
turn
there
the
you
whole
go.
thing around for you.
Absolutely.
The Bummers live from Dat Dog.
There
Yeah.
you go, absolutely.
Hey,
We'll just come in and eat a lot of Dat Dogs ourselves.
There you go. You come and play,
Bring
and,
some
we-
sticky
and-
buns
and
with
we'll
you.
make sure that you
Get hooked
leave
up on this-
very well
Awesome.
Hey,
taken care
listen,
of.
we got to get the hell out of here. Stephanie, is there anything we should know about what's going on
Oh,
really
boy.
in Louisiana
Where do
before
I
we
even
leave?
start?
Do you have one paragraph?
We have a governor race. We have a lot of legislative races this fall. There's term limits. Is that my time?
I don't know what that is.
Term limits. So there are a lot of important legislative races. So everyone has very strong feelings about what's happening in the world. Go vote.
Okay. That's it. You don't have any inside scoop on
Ask me a question.
the governor. I don't even know what the governor looks like. Do you guys know what the governor looks
Yes,
like?
I do. He's
Are you, Paul, do you know what he looks like? I never
No.
see him. I mean,
Really?
Don't know, could care less.
wow.
Right.
Okay.
And I bet the bummers don't know shit about
But,
politics, do
you know,
you?
We
That's
know nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Right.
He
The
would
good
not
news
like
is-
hearing
Tough
this.
job.
He's up for re-election
New
this fall.
Orleanians will survive in spite of the politicians, and that's why I love this city.
Right.
Is we
You got
will persevere.
Right. Well, the whole state, for that matter.
Yeah.
Number 50.
Is this not the
Yeah.
place to talk about full communism?
No.
Communism? You can come back and talk about communism next time.
That's next show.
Yeah. Are you guys communists?
You got a capitalist here, so
Oh,
Are you guys
shit.
really communists?
We dabble.
Really? You never hear anyone say I'm a communist. I haven't
no,
heard any.
socialist, democratic socialist. Yes,
These guys
communist,
We like saying
less
communist.
so.
It pisses more people off.
There you go.
It's fascinating because I don't think anyone even remembers what communism is anymore.
I don't think we were alive when communism
Wow.
existed.
Wow.
so-
Okay, well, that's to be continued. We've got to get the hell out of here.
Yeah,
This is the Bummers. Sean Doyle and Ben Shooter from the Bummers. You can go see them at Gasa Gasa and look online for them at the bummersmusic.com, is it?
Just thebummers.com.
Thebummers.com,
Yes.
okay. And Paul Tuneman, CEO and market research expert at Dat Dog. He's going to live to 92 years old eating hot dogs.
There you go.
It's been great to meet you. Thank
It's
you
been
very
awesome,
much for
Grant.
coming
I
down.
appreciate you having me.
And the New Orleans Advocate /line Times Picayune
/line
NOLA.com
NOLA.com.
columnist Stephanie Grace has been here as well. Thank you, Stephanie, so much for being here.
Thank you.
I would love to have all you guys back on again. I feel like we could go for another hour.
Yeah.
We didn't even get onto communism at all. So
I know. I'm
gonna
kind of
tell you,
disappointed.
before we go, thank you very much to NOLA pens, the only pens made from a fallen Audubon Park live oak tree. These one-of-a-kind, expertly crafted, limited edition writing instruments are available at nolapens.com. And that is gorgeous, isn't it?
It is.
And thanks to Basics Swim and Gym, Basics Lingerie, Basics Underneath Store, and the Positive Vibrations Foundation, who create and encourage community through the development and preservation of the arts, music, culture, and heritage. And if you'd like to join our Patreon family, go to patreon.com and search for It's New Orleans Happy Hour. And for as little as $1, you can join our It's New Orleans Happy Hour family and possibly get a free 3D chess game, which we've still not given away, which is probably going on now for about 9 months. The producer of our show is Graham DePont, who's standing right here. Monique Pyle is our music producer, and Christian Unruh is our music consultant. Thomas Walsh is our technical director, and Asher Griffith is our Facebook Live feed director who put this whole thing on Facebook Live. If you didn't see it on Facebook Live, you can go to our New Orleans Happy Hour Facebook page and see the whole thing. Our fact checker and social media connector is Andrew Searock, who's not here today. And our theme music was written by and is currently being played by Mitch Foreman. If you'd like to be on our show and you can stay upright for about 60 minutes while drinking alcohol, drop us a line. Our address is on our website, itsneworleans.com, where you can also check out many other happy hours that we've recorded previously, as well as other shows we make around here, including Out to Lunch with Peter Raschuti, live from Commander's Palace, Louisiana, Eats with Poppy Tucker, and our award-winning podcast about death, called Death the Podcast. You can also find other great Louisiana podcasts at itsacadiana.com and itsbatonrouge.la. You can keep up with us on a bunch of time-sucking social media, like, for example, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and all of it we're called It's New Orleans. If you'd like to find photos from this show, you can find them on itsneworleans.com and on our New Orleans Facebook page. What does that mean? On our It's New Orleans Facebook page. These photos are taken today by Jill LaFleur. You can find more of Jill's photos at lafleurphoto.com. If you're listening to this on your favorite podcast app, thank you for subscribing to us. Take a moment, if you've got one, to rate and review us. That helps other people find us. If you're listening to us on Spotify, you can follow us and get happy hour delivered to you each week. This show is recorded live today at Wayfair on Ferret Street in Uptown New Orleans. Happy Hour is a production of INO Broadcasting for itsneworleans.com. Andrew Duhon is on the road somewhere. You can find him at andrewduhon.com and see if he's in a town near you. For Andrew, everyone else around the table here at Wayfair and back at our office at INO Broadcasting, thanks for joining us. I'm Grant Morris. I'll see you back here next week for more Happy Hour.